is my distinct pleasure and honor to bring back to the platform our beloved Regina Garapi.
I'm very excited to introduce to you the next speaker. I actually met him in Seattle when he came to be trained, and right after, he just jumped right in to Infinite Possibilities, and he made this great video that he posted in the Facebook group. And when I saw it, I just thought, oh, that was amazing, and we need to talk to him about having him come to speak. Michael Tarby is originally from New Jersey and now lives in Las Vegas. He has been everything from a police officer to an actor. His varied background allows him to resonate with people from all walks of life. He is currently teaching Infinite Possibilities both in group settings and one-on-one, and he loves it. And today, he is presenting You So Have What It Takes, How to Give a Great Presentation. Please welcome to the stage, Michael Tarby.
Who's here to have a good time? Okay, my name is Michael Tarby. I'd like to welcome you to my presentation. You so have what it takes, and I mean that. And actually, when I thought about what I should call this talk, originally it was going to be talk the talk and walk the walk. And then one day, when I realized I got the call that I was going to speak, I'm like, what am I going to call it? And all of a sudden, I checked my notes from the universe, and guess what was there? You so have what it takes. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is just too good to be true. So I am from Las Vegas. Is anybody else here from Las Vegas? Good, so I do have a ride home. Now, a lot of times living in Las Vegas, the first thing I always get asked when I meet people out, they're like, hey, can you do a good Elvis impression? I'm like, come on, really? Of course I can. Feel free to dance or sing along. A little bit about me, it's so weird the path that I've been on in my experience, because not that long ago, actually in January, I was right where you are. And in fact, I was in the very front seat, closest to the stage, watching these guys. And I heard the talks from the other trailblazers, and I was getting so excited. And I'm like, wow, what would it be like to be them? You know, how did they do that? That sounds so amazing. This material is so good. And there's me and Andy. We don't look that happy. I think I was a little sad that day. So when I got back to Las Vegas, I was determined and excited to start my presentations. And since then, I've taught the program 5 times. 4 was the full program, and 1 was a 4-hour presentation I did with a fellow trailblazer. And I can tell you right off the bat, it's amazing. And is there anybody here that plans on presenting when they go home? That is awesome. That is so awesome. And I want to tell you, by the end of this presentation, I bet you everybody is going to have their hands in the air. A little bit about my background is I've been a jack of all trades. I've lived more than 10 years. I was the youngest police officer they ever hired by my department in New Jersey. I had just turned 19 years old. I did that for 14 years. I got divorced, and I moved to Las Vegas. Of course. Along with the gambling and alcohol addiction. That's a different meeting. And since I moved to Las Vegas, I was an actor. I worked at Star Trek The Experience. I don't know if anybody's ever seen that. I was in a couple of plays. I was a flair bartender at Carnival Court in Paris, where we flipped the bottles and danced on the bar like Tom Cruise. And it was awesome. Although I did a little sample yesterday. I think I almost hit somebody in the head with a water bottle, so I'm a little rusty. One of the things we're going to talk about is the fear of public speaking. It's real, isn't it? I mean, just a thought, even if you're not on stage, if you're home, I know even for me when I was practicing or just thinking of what I was going to say, I could feel my heart start to race and start to pulse. I'm like, oh my God. But the fear of public speaking is real. I didn't know how high it ranked on the list. You know, I did a little research, and apparently the fear of public speaking is higher than the fear of spiders, higher than the fear of flying, and higher than the fear of mother-in-laws. So what's in it for you? That's got to be the basic question when you're going to go home and actually leave this magical group and say, what in the world will possess you to go ahead and face that fear and go ahead and give these presentations? So what's in it for you? Is that a selfish way to think? Absolutely not. That's the right way to think. So what's in it for you? All these amazing things. All these amazing things. And already, I can just tell the energy from last night. It was just amazing. And this experience literally changed my life. And so, for so many of you, it will also change your life. And when we think about it, the things that we talk about when we're going to embrace this material ourselves, just think about magnifying that. And how do you magnify that? You share it. You share it. Since I've been teaching this program, I can't tell you how much joy and happiness and laughter and love. And it's just an unbelievable experience. And I mean that on the deepest, most visceral levels. Knowledge. It's just amazing when you get in these groups and you start to share. And they say, the more you teach, the more you learn. And some of these cliches, what's the meaning behind it? When you start teaching this program, you're going to understand what that means. The more I share this program, and I listen to other people, and I feel their experiences, and to see the aha moments for them, to see their light bulbs flash above their heads, see their smiles. It's just absolutely breathtaking. And then I can internalize it. I have that much more of a stronger belief myself. So I'm a bigger manifester myself. Kindness, happiness, excitement. Why would you want to put yourself out there in front of a crowd? Because it's exciting. That's what life's about. It's about excitement. Happiness, pride. To touch somebody's life and to honestly make a difference in their life is probably the greatest gift that you can have for your own life. And to feel that and experience it, and you can experience it again and again, is just absolutely beautiful. Compassion, fun, all these different things, everything good that you could possibly imagine feeling can come from sharing this material with other people. So I know you guys are energized a little bit. Now I'm going to get you fired up a little bit again. So I'm going to give you a little group chant. So I'm going to ask you, who can give a great presentation? And I want you to give me a good Jersey fist bump and say, I can. And then when I say, who will give a great presentation, I want you to give me a fist bump and say, I will. Who's ready? Yeah. Who can give a great presentation? I will. Who will give a great presentation? I will. Who can give a great presentation? I will. Who will give a great presentation? Who will write me a $50 check? I didn't mess up that other line. Now, when we first start talking about getting in front of people, you're going to run to a lot of different people in the audience. You're going to see a lot of different types of people in the crowd. Now, the one guy you might notice is kind of maybe the guy with his arms folded across his chest. And you're like, he doesn't look like he's enjoying the material too much. You know, maybe he has a little frown. So we're going to talk about him later. But right now, we're going to talk about some of the good people that you want to see in your audience. Now, the first group of people I like to call the bobbleheads. Now, I myself am, in fact, a bobblehead. Thank you, fellow bobblehead. Bobblehead. Bob it out. Now, a bobblehead is somebody that sits typically kind of in front row, always. And like I said, I was right here, the closest seat to the stage, literally, honest to God, right there, right in front of the stage. And so what I was doing when Mike or Regina or anybody, Andy, was looking down or look at the audience and they happened to look at me, I'm like, now I assure you I did take my medication that week. But I just tend to resonate visually when I respond to something that I'm drastic or to encourage the speaker. And not everybody's going to be like that, but can you imagine what it would be like if you were on stage and you saw a sea of bobbleheads? What would that do for your confidence? You know where I'm going with this, right? If everybody would, go ahead and give me a bobblehead. Ready? Bobbleheads! Now, these next group of people, now it's not actually want to see people falling all over the place. The sign I thought was funny, but that's not actually what this one is about. Now, this second group of people are what I like to call the jazz hands people. Now, actually, this is a true story. I was sitting in the back for the Train the Trainer conference, and Jackie, this was actually you. I wasn't going to say your name, but we made eye contact. We were listening to the guest speaker, and the guest speaker was awesome. And then all of a sudden, the two people in front of me threw up their hands and started going like this. And I'm like, whoa, what's going on? They have some really good questions or really have to use the restroom. And it took me a second to figure out what it was, but what it was like kind of silent clapping. And I'm like, I never saw that before. I'm like, I kind of like that. That's pretty cool. Can you imagine what it would be like if you're talking in front of a large group of 242 people and everybody had jazz hands? Yes! Yes! Boy, this stuff really works. Pitch me, I'm dreaming. No, pitch me, I'm manifesting. So now I'm going to blow your mind and going to flip your thoughts about being nervous. So let's talk about being nervous, especially when we get in front of a crowd. What kind of reactions does our body go through? What kind of reactions do we get inside of us? Tight stomach, what else? Dry mouth, sweating? What was that? Can't breathe, right? Butterflies in the stomach? What was that? Not good enough, right? You might forget your words, you might start stuttering. So now I'm going to flip it. Are those thoughts bad? Are those feelings or reactions bad, or are they good? Who says good? You're right, and here's why. What happens when you get excited to see somebody you care about, to see somebody you love? And it doesn't even have to be there in the physical sense. Maybe just the thought of them. It could be your boyfriend. It could be your girlfriend. It could be your secretary. The point is that something wonderful is about to happen. Or there's a high probability of joy that you're going to have an opportunity for. It's the same thing with public speaking. If you didn't care, you wouldn't get nervous. If you weren't excited, what would that mean? So to be nervous, embrace that and feel that because it's beautiful. Because that means that something wonderful very well might happen. So change your thoughts about being nervous because it's beautiful. Now I'm going to give you the 3 keys to giving a good presentation. And it's preparation, own it, and passion. You don't have to take notes. My PowerPoints are actually on the website, so you don't have to worry about writing all that. So originally, it was just going to be preparation and passion. But then when I said, if I get up here in front of all you people and say, well, the only thing you need to do to give a good presentation is make sure you pee-pee before your presentation. I said, that's really correct. So I bought a vowel, and I made it home. So we're going to talk about these individually. Now, the beautiful thing about this material is it's fail-safe. This material is so beautiful and so wonderful and so true and will resonate with so many different people so easily. You really don't even have to sweat how, or the cursed hows, or the details. So the beautiful thing is, do you like only you can do. I think I just channeled Dr. Seuss. But this wonderful lady is one of our trailblazers, and her name is Tracy Farquhar. Now, Tracy is an inspiration to me, and an inspiration probably to many other trailblazers, because it's not difficult, or it is difficult to get in here or actually go through the steps to make the calls and get the class, but then to actually get in front of the class, it's a whole other ballgame. But the interesting thing, the beautiful thing about Tracy is she's an introvert, by her own words. So if there's anybody in here that is very fearful and saying, I'm an introvert, there's no way I could get in front of a room full of people and get them to share personal information or share my stories with them. Tracy does it. And the way that she does it is mind-blowing and great, is she developed an alter ego for herself. I don't know if it's the same as a split personality, but we don't want to label. But seriously, she developed this character called Miss Pip. And I saw her at the the Trailblazer, the Trainer conference. I was in Seattle, and it was just awesome. It was just awesome. So the thing is do you like only you can do? If you want to play music, if you want to write a song, if you want to dress up, if you want to put on silly Elvis glasses and dance around in the beginning, it's all good. It's all good. There's no way that you're going to fail. It's all good. So do you like only you can do it. And use your creativity. This is where part of the fun comes in from. Enjoy it. Enjoy it. It's fun. So preparation. Preparation is the biggest thing that you can do to actually lessen your anxiety and lessen your stress. And there's a lot of different parts to preparation. Now the first thing is know the material. I know when I was here in Seattle at Train the Trainer, and Mike was a little bit subtle. He kind of threw out a couple times, know the material, know the material, know the material. I'm here to get in your face a little bit more and say, know the material. Read the book a couple times, do the workbook, do all the exercises, and there's so many great reasons for doing that. One of the biggest ones, again, is that you're going to get so much more out of yourself. You're going to have a much deeper understanding, and it's going to resonate with you so much more powerfully. Now, obviously, too, when you get in front of an audience or a group, and they start asking you questions, or they start asking you about different material that you're covering, you don't want to go all the way to page 45, or I think that was over here, or, I never read that, I didn't hear that one, what was that? So it sounds silly, but really, know the material is very important. So this one's going to be kind of an easy answer. What's in it for your audience? What's in it for you? What did you get out of it? I mean, when you start trying to maybe organize classes or give talks to try and get people to come, all you have to do is talk about what it's done for you or how it's resonated for you. What's in it for your audience? Joy, happiness, the truth, beauty, anything and everything you can ever imagine. I mean, who wouldn't want to have all those things? But the one thing to consider is who is in your audience. So, for example, my first group, I had 7 people, and 4 of them knew nothing about the law of attraction and basically knew nothing about me. So, what I did was, originally I had planned to start off with a guided meditation. And I took a look at these 4 people with blank faces staring back at me, and I'm thinking, I don't know if they're ready for a guided meditation from a New Age hippie. And I'm like, oh man. So I scratched it on the fly. But it was a good call. I did the right thing. But by the end of that day, it was a 2-day seminar, Saturday and Sunday back to back. So the next day I felt confident that they were comfortable with me, bought in the material. So I went ahead and did my guided meditation. And it sucked. They said I went too fast and it didn't last long enough. And no, I haven't heard that before. That's actually true. So what you want to do is you want to teach to your audience. So that means if you have a group of people who have no idea idea what the law of attraction is, then what you could do is probably spend some considerable time laying the groundwork for the law of attraction. Because if they're not with you on board from the foundation, which is the law of attraction, they're not going to come along the rest of the way. But now, if you have a group that is familiar with the law of attraction, you don't really need to spend too much time with that. I mean, you don't need to preach to the choir. You don't need to try to sell something that somebody's already willing to buy. And the way I have it, or the way I say it, is that line from Jerry Maguire. You had me at love. Okay, you believe in it? Let's move on. So again, if they buy into the law of attraction already, then go a little bit deeper with emotions and beliefs. Now, so many different ways that you give presentations. Again, you don't have to use PowerPoints. In the small groups, I've done both. The way I like to use PowerPoints is kind of like a storyboard. So like if you're going to make a movie or a commercial, you kind of have little snippets or frames that will kind of tell the whole story, but doesn't have the details. It doesn't have all the text. It doesn't have all the words. It doesn't have all the movement. But if you just took a look at those 6 panels, you would kind of have some idea of the overall story. And that's what you're doing when you're presenting. You have a beginning, a middle, and an end. So what I like to do PowerPoints is I can kind of rearrange the frames. Maybe does this fit better, or does this flow better? And then kind of fill in the blanks. All right, well, this is one frame to remind me of this material. So when I see that, okay, I'm going to get ahead and talk like that, or talk about that. One thing you don't want to do is have a whole bunch of text on your PowerPoints, because people in the audience can read much faster than you can speak. And if you put a lot of text on there, they're going to be concentrating on reading your slides, and they're not going to be paying attention to you. It's a Lay's potato chip commercial, I think. Just do the bottle, I think. I'm sorry, my jersey came out. So preparation, keep it simple and make it powerful. So keep it simple means you don't need to kind of oversell it or overstate it, especially when we're talking about some of the science behind the law of attraction. You start talking about quantum fields and 0-point fields and all this other stuff, chances are you're not going to be able to explain it too well. You know, I can't explain it. So don't even try to go there, because if you lose them in the beginning, they're probably going to be lost for the rest of the way. And there's better ways that you can go ahead and demonstrate that it's true, and that's the beauty, part of the beauty of the workbook. Because if you can get them to see, oh yeah, well I did manifest that, or I did think that, and I did manifest that. You don't need to know about 0-point fields or quantum theory to believe in that. And that's the key, is to get them on board. Make it powerful. You know, I love Regina's business name. Reclaim your essence. Do words have energy? Do words have power? Absolutely. Especially when we're presenting. Especially when we're not there maybe to add our words or tone. So just that sentence, reclaim your essence. That stimulates me. That resonates with me. Reclaim, what does it mean when you claim something? I own it. I'm going to take possession of it. I'm going to nurture it. I'm going to take care of it. I'm not going to lose it. It's beautiful. An essence. What if it said, go get who you are? But go find out what your beauty is. It wouldn't be the same. Now, I'm writing a book. It's called Emotion and Devotion, the 2 Keys to Achieve All You Desire. Again, I try to use powerful words. Keys. I could use points. The 2 points to achieve all you desire. Do points unlock treasure chests? No, keys do. Achieve. Is achieve different than get? Absolutely. Achieve, I worked for it. I put effort in. I'm proud of it. I got it. There's a big difference there. So when you do your presentations, you can keep it simple, but you can still keep it powerful. This is some tips for the intro class. I taught 4 classes at a spiritual center, and what I did is I offered an intro class for free. And my first one, I had 11 people in the class, and I was about an hour long, and one person signed up. And that person was the only person that was familiar with Mike Dooley's material. So I can't even take credit for that. And I went home, and I was pretty upset with myself. And I'm like, wow, this stuff is great. I mean, this stuff is amazing. I mean, what did I do wrong? And I looked at myself and I said, I gave away too much. I was excited about it. I wanted to speak about it. I wanted to share it. But sometimes I got a little ahead of myself and I shared too much. And maybe I tried to explain stuff, but I didn't have time to explain it fully. So maybe people were kind of confused. So I said to myself, next week is going to be different. I'm going to change it, I'm going to rock it, and I got a plan. And I did it. So the next week I had, I think, 11 people again. And this time I kind of teased them a little bit. Again, what's in it for them? You can be happier than you've ever been. You can do this, you can do that. Has anybody heard of the law of attraction? It's just some amazing universal power that everybody has access to. And you can have it. I wasn't that over the top, but for you guys, I will be. And what I did also was I ended with the dream amplifier. We're going to probably do that this weekend. And it's a great exercise where you get to generate feelings about hearing your dreams have already come true. And it was under an hour, it was about 45 minutes, and I had 5 people sign up after that. So I felt that I had made some improvements. So my tip to you is to don't give away too much. Tease them, give them something that they can resonate with. That's why I like the dream amplifier exercise, because you're going to generate feelings with them. And that's really going to be the emotional drive that's going to take sometimes to get to people to come listen to your presentation. Another part of preparation is practice, practice, practice. Now, you don't have to be perfect. Nobody's expecting you to be perfect. Don't put that pressure on yourself. You don't have to be as good as Mike Dooley. You don't have to be as good as Andy Dooley. Be yourself and be the best that you can. And there's always time to practice. In the car, in the shower, videotape yourself. I must have videotaped myself about 6 times. And I must have had about 8 different versions of this speech and different incarnations of it. But I think it did help me overall. Another thing you can do is watch yourself in the mirror, especially with your body movements. Are you going side to side? But if you start slipping into your thriller moves from Michael Jackson, you've been practicing too long. But practice is probably the biggest thing that you can do to alleviate you being nervous. So what's in it for you? You know what's in it for you. What's in it for your audience. You prepared, and now what? It's time to hit the stage, or it's time to hit the classroom. And what do you want to do? Work it, work it. Own it. Exactly. Don't second guess yourself anymore. You put the time in. You know who your audience was. You had your storyboards, and you had your ideas how you were going to present the material. Don't second guess yourself anymore. Go for it. Your audience is rooting for you. I mean, think about it. Have you ever gone to a comedy show and hoped you didn't laugh? Did you ever go to a training class that you paid for and hope that you didn't learn the information? Go to a cooking class and hope the chef burned the meatloaf? No! And it's true, your audience is rooting for you. So before you even step on stage, take a little comfort in that. Now this is my first group here. The first one I gave was for free. And the interesting thing was, I was all fired up when I left Seattle. And I'm like, oh my God, this is the best material ever, and I can't wait to teach it. People are going to be flying to me. So I put an invite out to everybody, all my friends on Facebook. And neither one came. Actually, kind of true. I did invite probably about 80 people from my local circle in Las Vegas, and only 2 did come. And I'm like, wow, it's free. It's free. This will blow your mind, change your life. It's free. What is going on? I said, well, I'm going to persist, and I'm going to do this. So the morning I was prepared, was running through the thoughts in my head, and practicing again. And I said to myself as I was getting ready, I go, what if it wasn't for free? What if I was charging $300 for it? That's what some trainers charge. Would I do the presentation any differently? At first I said, no, I don't think so. And the more I thought about it, I'm like, oh, heck yeah. Heck yeah, I would do it differently. Because there's a different kind of expectation on myself. And the more that I felt that, I could feel myself kind of maybe stand up a little bit straighter. I had the intention that I was going to go there. I was going to be more animated. I was going to be more engaged. My voice was going to range. I wasn't going to be monotone. So what I tell you that for is you build yourself up in your mind. And it's not to make you more nervous, but it's more to give you more confidence. And again, if you want to take on a different role or a different aspect of yourself to find it, go ahead and do it. But I gave my best free $300 presentation ever that weekend. Now, when you start sharing in the groups, it's the most beautiful, magical thing of this whole experience and the whole thing of teaching and sharing this material. I bring this slide up for a reason because, not that you're going to be managing a bunch of clowns, but when you start sharing this material in groups, you're the one that's in charge of keeping the focus and the conversation moving in the right way. You're going to be amazed as soon as you get that buy-in from the people and they start to share, it's going to be floodgates opening and people are going to be talking back and forth and they're going to be excited and somehow it's going to sometimes maybe veer off subject a little bit. And before you know it, you're talking about Grandma's favorite chocolate chip cookie recipes. And you're going to be surprised at how quickly that happens. In my first class, I'm like, oh, everybody's having fun. I don't want to break this party up. You know, everybody's laughing and joking. The thing is go ahead and take control. Because they're looking to you to take control. And it's nice to talk and laugh and socialize, but another thing is you're going to be friends with all these people for a long time. And what you share is a strong bond of friendship. So there's going to be time for you guys to socialize and talk about different things. But try to keep control of your group. And one of the cues that I found is when people are sharing, if people start looking at me instead of the person talking, that's a good sign to go ahead and wrap it up or bring everybody back on top. And you can do that a couple ways. You don't have to be mean or bring up the hello or you shut up or, you know, your time is done. What you can do is just go ahead and, thank you. What you can do is kind of what's the word I'm looking for? Redirect to what the previous topic was or the current topic was, and then use that as a platform to either go forward or to re-emphasize that material. And this is another thing I'll tell you about knowing the material, is if you know the material and you're comfortable with it, it is effortless to share this material in the work groups. Because it just, people will give you examples of exactly what you're trying to share. And like, oh my God, it's just a perfect example of what I was trying to say. So if you know the material, it just flows effortlessly. Now the third P is passion. And I left this one for last for a good reason. Because if nothing else, and you didn't do the first two too well, the only thing that you really need to do to give a great presentation with this material is to bring your passion for it. And I'm not just saying that to give you a false sense of security. I genuinely mean that. All you need to do is believe in this material and have the passion and open your mouth. Because I guarantee that the words will come, and they will come beautifully, and they will come perfectly. So please, just bring your passion. Now, in the beginning, I like to use the analogy of when maybe we first get in front of a crowd. We might start to say, stutter, maybe forget some words. And I use the analogy of a boat when it first starts off on the water. Now, when a boat first starts off in the water and you give it some gas, it moves forward, but it's kind of choppy. And it starts bobbing and the water's slapping against the hull. And what do? You don't let off the gas, you give it more gas. So before you know it now, the boat's rising a little bit higher. And it's a little bit smoother. It's still bobbing up and down, but not like before. And then when you give full throttle, you give full gas, what does the boat do? It rises right up on the water and takes off. It's smooth sailing from there. And that's the same thing with your presentations. If you have ahs or ums or stutter or anything like that, keep going. Tap into the passion and keep going. And I guarantee by the end of that presentation, you'll be smooth sailing. No, so you've given a great presentation, and now the decision comes, do you want to do an evaluation? Does anybody here not want to do evaluations? I know my first class, I did do evaluations, but I didn't look at it for like a day and a half. Because I'm like, well, what did they say? It's going to hurt my feelings. What was that? You couldn't wait? I could wait. I suggest go ahead and do evaluations because it's going to be a valuable asset to kind of fine-tune your presentations and style. For example, if you use PowerPoints Some people don't like PowerPoints at all. Am I good? Okay. If you use videos, you can find out which videos resonated with people. You're not looking for individual people to say, oh, I didn't like that at all. But if you find a general trend, then maybe you can make some changes. And you can pick your own categories. I picked passion. That's probably one of the first ones that I picked. Was the speaker passionate? Was the speaker knowledgeable? Was the speaker funny? And again, you can pick anything that you want, but it is very valuable. So let's go ahead and talk about that guy in the beginning before the bobbleheads with the guy whose arms are folded across his chest. What about him? And I would suggest to you that more often than not, that guy is going to be one of the first people in line to tell you what a great job you did and how much he enjoyed your presentation. And again, I'm not just saying that to be nice, but I mean that. So don't let that throw you, and you can do it. Now this is a picture of me. I forget how old I was. Maybe 20. I was walking by a park by my house. It was a few months ago, and they had a Little League Championship game going on. And I walked by, it was a beautiful day, and I'm like, oh, this is cool. I was going to sit on the bleachers and watch this game. And it brought me back to the days when I was in the league. And I was watching these players, and what struck me was the contrast between the players when they walked up to the plate. Some of these kids strode up to the plate like they were Babe Ruth. And they were like, and they dug their heels in the batter's box. And they took that bat and they smacked it on home plate. And they raised their arm high and kind of leered at the pitcher, almost daring him to throw a strike. And the interesting thing is that those kids were swinging almost anything. They wanted to get a hit, not even a hit, they wanted to get a double, triple, maybe even a home run. And then there was another group of people, another group of kids that would walk up. And the kid would kind of walk a little slow, maybe his shoulders were a little rounded, step up to the plate, almost looked like he had a little wobbly knees, kind of half-hearted, raise the bat, look timidly at the pitcher. And that kid was more likely to look for balls. He didn't really want to swing too hard or swing and try to get a hit. He'd rather get on base with a walk. And I thought about that, and I watched that, and I thought about myself. And I thought that I was in that second group of kids. Now, it could have been because the bat was 2 times the size of my arm. But nonetheless, I was the kid that was looking for the walks. And the way that I related to giving a presentation is that I should have swung. I should have swung, and I should have swung hard, and I should have swung all the time, even at balls maybe. Because there's nothing better in life than getting a hit, getting a double, or getting a home run. So what I say to you is swing. Swing hard, have fun, and present this material. Don't lose this opportunity. It's beautiful and wonderful. Thank you.